Well, we're finishing up our fourth winter here, and we're looking forward to a very warm fourth spring. It's currently plus 10 degrees, and it might even get close to plus 20 later in the week. The Chinook winds are blowing hard down the Rockies now. Now, although it might seem like spring is here, we know winter will be back. So it's a good time to focus on planning now. For this edition, I want to tie together two articles that I wrote recently for Better Farming Prairies. One article looks at pest control through the post-harvest lens, basically treating the season to a post-mortem. And the other looks at seed decisions, especially around saved seed versus certified seed. Now, they seem separate, but they're really two halves of the same idea. The season doesn't start at seeding, it starts at harvest. Now, if you live south of Calgary, the event that was planned by Foothills County for December was rescheduled to the end of this month. My talk is called The Builder, the Banker, the Brewer, Balancing Soil Physics, Chemistry, and Biology in Prairie Fields. It's a free event on the afternoon of January 28th. Lunch is included. Now, if you're interested in going, there'll be a registration link in the transcript, and all you have to do is go to the episode description, click the transcript, and then that takes you to my website where I have everything linked. Now, in case you're new here, let me introduce myself. My name is Scott Gillespie, and I'm an Alberta-based author, podcaster, and independent agronomy consultant. I specialize in realistic regen ag. I have nearly 2 decades of experience in dryland and irrigated specialty crop systems, working across organic, conventional, and regenerative farms. Through my consulting, my podcast, and my book, Practical Regeneration, Realistic Strategies for Climate-Smart Agriculture, the basis of my advice is simple: science-backed practices that promote environmental stewardship and farm profitability. Now, you're listening to this as the podcast, or you might be watching it on Spotify or YouTube, but you can also get it as an email, or you can also get it on LinkedIn as a newsletter as well. So the details for that, again, are in the transcript, which you click on in the episode description. So planning starts at harvest. Now, harvest is when the crop finally shows its true colors. During the season, crops are great at hiding problems. So canopies close, the weeds get shaded out, diseases can stay hidden, and the field can look pretty good on the gravel road drive-by. Once it's in the bin, the shine can come off. Grain samples are one of the most valuable tools we have. They don't just tell you the grade, they tell you what got missed. Fusarium that never really showed up, or midge damage that didn't cause a yield hit, but still cost quality, or ergot bodies that remind us how rotation and field edges still do matter. And that's before we even get into maps. Yield maps and NDVI maps don't just show yield, they show patterns. So there's edges, bubbles, low spots, headlands. All of those are signatures and clues. The trick is not jumping to conclusions. An ugly weed patch doesn't automatically mean herbicide resistance. A clean sample doesn't mean zero risk. A high yield area doesn't mean you push it harder next year. The real value comes when you're asking better questions. So, was it a pest issue or a weather issue? Did the problem repeat across years, or was it just a one-off? Does this line up with rotation history or soil and water movement? If you don't pause to ask those questions, planning quietly defaults to habit. Here's what really pays off. When you do this kind of post-harvest thinking, it makes in-season decisions easier and calmer. So instead of reacting to every headline or forecast, you already know where your true risk is. You know which fields deserve closer watching and which ones are probably fine. This doesn't mean fewer decisions, it just means better timed ones. And this is something that I see over and over again. The people who did the best job of reviewing last year are the ones that feel the least stressed mid-season. They're not guessing as much, they're just adjusting to the plan. So to dive deeper, please check out my full article in Better Farming Prairies, Pest Control Post-Mortem, Applying This Year's Lessons to Next Year's Crop. Now, seed is one of those inputs that can feel routine, but it's actually one of the biggest levers we have. If you're using farm-saved seed, planning starts before harvest. Pre-harvest products, harvest timing, and storage conditions can all affect what that seed will be capable of in the next spring. And here's a mistake that can be easy to make. If the bin run seed worked fine last year, it feels logical to assume that it'll work fine again. Now, sometimes that's true, sometimes it isn't. Germination tests are useful, but they only answer one question: will it sprout under ideal conditions? They don't tell you how that seed will handle cold soils, variable moisture, or disease pressure. Vigor is what gets you through tough springs. Now, certified seed isn't magic, and it isn't always the right answer. But what it does give you is a reset in genetics, disease load, and performance. Now, when you actually pencil it out with cleaning losses, trucking, storage, increased seeding rates, the economics aren't as one-sided as they first appear. Some years bin run wins, some years it doesn't. The danger is assuming the answer instead of just checking. Lower vigor seed can mean slower emergence, and slower emergence can mean more weed pressure. More weed pressure can mean more chemistry or narrower application windows, or more stress. Likewise, disease carried on seed doesn't always show up as a dramatic failure. Sometimes it just shaves a little off establishment, which shows up as uneven competition all season. Now, when people say the field just looked a little rough this year, a lot of times it's actually a stack of the small decisions that are interacting. So to read the full article, Seed Sense, What a Garden Failure Taught Me About Farm-Saved Seed, go again to Better Farming Prairies, and the links will be in the transcript. So thanks for your attention. If something resonated, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you. And also sharing in your social networks, because I'm not on all of them. I'm actually not on many of them. So whether a post or to a small group of your friends, of course, and I don't know them either, so that helps me out too. It's very much appreciated if you can do that. You can also support me by picking up my book, Practical Regeneration, Realistic Strategies for Climate Smart Agriculture, or reaching out to me for agronomy support. All the information can be found on my website, www.plantsdigsoil.com. So here's to growing more, believing less, and always digging a little deeper.